many publications, many sources do not mention or highlight about these governing principles. You must have seen many books in the market or many so-called YouTube classes. You must have seen. Not many. 90% of them do not focus on them. 90%. You can search books, the so-called famous books, so-called popular YouTubers and teachers. I don't know why, but they help you understand the ecology conceptually. So it is useful for learners, students. They should focus on them. But anyways, we'll do that. What is that? The first governing principle is what? It's all about energy. Okay. Energy, thermodynamics principles, we cannot create, we cannot destroy, how it moves. So ecology is all about understanding how energy moves into ecosystem and from one biotic factor to another biotic factor. Yes, across. So it's a systematic procedure here. And every living organism is here to survive. That means is here to acquire energy. And every organism tries to save or conserve energy. Please understand this. No organism would want to waste energy. So no organism would want to waste energy. And in order to conserve energy, acquire energy, conserve energy, and not to waste energy, lot of organisms undergo a lot of modifications. And again, all these modifications are purely for the purpose of survival. Every organism in the universe survives or tries to survive. That is a basic biological instinct. Every organism has innate potential to survive, and its goal is to survive. Another goal is what? To grow, to develop, to multiply, to reproduce, and to move around. All those things. Biological principles would come into picture. Yes. So, principle of conservation and movement of energy. We would elaborate further about this in pyramidal concepts. Elton, Charles Elton proposed. What is that? Pyramid of energy. Energy moves from the producer, plant, photosynthetic organisms to consumers, not the other way. It's unidirectional. We'll talk about that. And in this, we mentioned about what? Trophy. If you remember, trophy, we introduced the concept of trophic levels or hierarchies or ranks. We call those self-sufficient, self-nourishing organisms as photosynthetic organisms, also called as autotrophic organisms, which are also called as, we mentioned about them if you remember. Yes. And those organisms which depend on others for their survival are also known as heterotrophic organisms or consumers, we mentioned. And microorganisms are also referred as reducers because they break down complex nutrients in all other organisms. So all means what? Plants and animals. Yes. Into micronutrients into the soil, like fungi and bacteria. That's all. Don't include viruses there. Okay. Do not include viruses. So we call them as what? Reducers. So what is food to someone becomes not food to someone else, and what is waste to someone becomes a source of survival to someone else. So nothing goes waste, that. Barry Commoner's principle, we will talk about that later. First governing principle is principle of energy. Second governing principle, as we discussed earlier, is all about what? Is all about limiting factors. We mentioned about them, most of the factors, because most of the living organisms and their processes are multifactorial in nature. They are dependent on multiple things. For example, your life, your very existence, and whatever happens to you is almost always because of multiple reasons or multiple factors, not because of one. Please understand this. This goes a long way philosophically also, because there is a wrong notion. Usually reality is what? Reality is a coincidence of multiple factors. So multiple factors. Coincidence. Reality is a coincidence of multiple factors, or simply multifactorial. Reality is multifactorial. But we try to simplify it in the form of what? Proposing ideals or certain kind of rules and regulations, which is based on single factor, to simplify it. Because multi means a multiple number, single means one number. One is simple or more numbers are simple. One is simple. People understand easily. And you can convince large number of people if you combine everything into singularity. Yes or no? This is Western ideal. Please understand this. It is called as panacea. What is panacea here? One size fits all approach. It's like philosophical thing, you know. It is little off the syllabus here, not directly, but you can relate it. What is that here? It is like during COVID lockdown, you all were advised to take a Dolo 650, that it will treat everything about you, and it is a cure. Yes or no? People purchased it in bundles, and people were taking Dolo 650 morning, evening, night, and whatever is the symptom, take Dolo 650, it will cure everything. Is it so? But people believed, people took. Yes or no? That means one size fits all. For all problems of all people, there is only single solution. If you do this, everything will be solved and people will buy it immediately. Yes or no? If you crack and get into IAS, all problems of your life will be solved. You can change entire India and solve the problems of all people. Yes or no? Don't you believe in that? Don't you? Be realistic and truthful to yourself. Live your life for your sake. You don't have to convince anyone, and don't live your life for somebody else. Is that clear? If at all there is any take-home point in this learning process and preparation for this exam, that should be this: that live your life for your own sake. Now let's be realistic. Don't you believe in that becoming IAS is a one-stop solution to all problems in your life? Be truthful to yourself. You don't have to fake it. Yes or no? An unemployment problem, it is solution. Security of tenure, security of salary, safety, respect, prestige, power, capability to do anything to anyone. Don't you believe in it? And that's what I'm saying. Then why do you say no? That means you don't know what you're doing here. Now that's Western ideal. Okay, not only, okay, UPSC, British legacy, okay, fine. If you are seriously truthful, then you can't accept your own self, you know that? You cannot end up criticizing your own self, can you? Hello, good morning. Okay, I'm late by 15-20 minutes. Doesn't mean that you will be silent forever. Yeah? Online people, are you alive, awake? I don't know. Nobody knows, yeah? Okay, so for example, let me give you another bitter pill. God. One God gives you everything. Solves all problems. Yes or no? Don't you believe in it? Okay, so what? Yeah, I believe. So what will be your answer? Think about it. Don't you think it is similar to this? Fitting in here? Yes or no? Okay, let me take your money. Have money? Everything is solved. Yes or no? Some people believe in luck. Luck enough. Luck flicks all the checks. Single, single fact. Don't you think it is hyper simplified? Politics. Vote for me, your life will be changed. State will become golden state. All problems of all people will be solved like this. One signature, over. Don't you think people do this? And you know what? You believe in it. And vote. Yes or no? Don't you think? You have seen it, you have experienced it. That's myth. People try to convince you to get benefits to them. And your life still remains dependent on multiple factors. Are you able to understand this? Now in ethics also, in GS4 also, this debate comes. Yes or no? There is a difference between moral, legal, ethical. You understand this? A lot of jokes you'll crack. Yeah? We'll talk about them. Yes. So in ecology also, every occurrence, every existence, every growth and development, every reproduction, every survival, every process is dependent on multiple factors. When there are multiple factors, some factors will be abundant, some would be deficient. Now, who controls whom, or what controls who? In this endeavor, we have certain principles proposed by certain scholars. For example, Liebig's principle of or law of minimum. Okay, scarce resource, scarcest of all resources or deficient of all factors would act as a limiting factor. Liebig's law of minimum. Then Blackman's law of, again, limiting factor. Slowest factor, that means pace. Slowest factor acts as limiting factor. You understand this? And then Shelford's. What is Shelford's principle? The critical minimum, critical maximum. That means optimum factors would have more influence, and critical minimum or critical maximum will have detrimental effect. If it is deficient, still it will control the growth and development. Even if it is abundant, abundance also acts as a limiting factor. Yes or no? So undergrowth is dangerous. Overgrowth can also be dangerous. And most organisms survive within this threshold of critical minimum to critical maximum, and we call that as optimum range. Optimum nutrients, optimum temperature, optimum light, whatever it is, optimum. So minimum, dangerous. Maximum also dangerous. That is Shelford's law of optimum availability of resources in general. Okay, so third governing principle we are talking about. What is that third? So principle of homeostasis. So what is homeostasis here? Homeostasis means some sort of balance. We call it as what? Equilibrium. Balance, equilibrium. But please understand, it is not about biological aspect, but it is ecological aspect. Ecological in context. Now here comes the concept of Arthur George Tansley's concept. A.G. Tansley proposed in 1935 the concept or approach, a research method. Approach of what? Approach of ecosystem. So Tansley introduced and promoted and of course popularized the concept of ecosystem approach. Ecosystem means what? A kind of biogeographic region where life is possible and acts as a unit of structural and functional unit of ecology. We mentioned about this earlier. Yes and no. There are different types of ecosystems. We will elaborate on them further. We are talking about what? Governing principles primarily. Yes. So ecosystem is a region or area. Usually with a combination of what? With a combination of land, with a combination of water, with a combination of gas, with a combination of lot of nutrients, supporting variety of living organisms. That means diversity. And all these things in the smallest possible extent, self-sufficient and perpetuating. Perpetuating means continuous. Perpetuating, continuously surviving without any external support here. So this kind of region is called as a ecosystem. Ecosystem. You'll understand this. Multiple ecosystems, it will form a biome, and multiple biomes would result in formation of biosphere. We mentioned about them only. So what is ecosystem? A community. Community means multiple species, multiple populations, multiple species in a region. Where there is balance. Okay. Ecosystem approach was proposed by Tansley in 1935, and ecosystem approach is considered as one of the most significant, useful approach in understanding ecology. So homeostasis means equilibrium. What kind of equilibrium? Ecological equilibrium. So what are the governing principles in this approach here? First one is negative feedback principle. What is negative feedback? For example, Whenever you must have seen that the basis for all these things would also be Charles Darwin, Darwinian principle. What is Darwinian principle here? Theory of, what is that? Natural selection. And thus, what happened? What is the book? And don't forget, this is a revision class. That means you know about these things already. We are just putting things together again so that you will remember them and use them in the exam. And this should not be the first time you are listening to all these things. And try to, change the question mark expression on the faces. Okay. So what is that we are looking at here? Darwinian principle here. Negative feedback. What is negative feedback here? Whenever there is something going on which may result in ecological imbalance. What do you mean by ecological imbalance? For example, if population of a particular organism, particular species is increasing more than others. Yes? So, if there is, for example, disease affecting the population of one species of organisms more than others, that means their population is dwindling or reducing. So, extremes. Whenever such thing happens, what happens here? There will be a change in the composition of ecosystem. So usually we can explain this using what? This population thing here. So whenever there is an abnormal or unusually high increase in population of certain organisms, population increase of certain organisms, what happens here? The predation activity increases. Predation or occurrence and spread of diseases would be the consequence, resulting in, again, a balanced populations. So that's how negative feedback means what? Whenever there is a change in the composition of ecosystem, threatening the survival or existence of few organisms, then this results in a balancing change, and balancing change would be seen in every ecosystem to restore what? To restore equilibrium. That means nature adjusts itself. Please understand. Nature has the capacity to adjust itself. Whenever any change is causing imbalance, nature acts to bring back the balance or equilibrium. Through which approach? Negative feedback approach. Please understand this. So simple example is, whenever population of a species is increasing abnormally, that results in spread of diseases or increase in predatory activity of certain organisms, thus controlling the population of this increasing species. Resulting in what? Again, balance or equilibrium. That is ecological. That is one sub-principle or sub-component of the equilibrium or homeostasis. What is the second one? Second sub-principle of homeostasis is what? Again, the concept of, we know this because Darwin proposed this already. What is that here? Adaptation. Organisms adjust. Organisms modify. These modifications are to restore balance. Balance concerned with change in abiotic challenges or demands. Abiotic means what? For example, soil nutrient content is lesser. Living organisms will change their nutrition methods. For example, okay, let me simplify. If there is chicken, you will eat chicken. If there is no chicken, you will eat plant product. Saturday, Sunday? Yes or no? Why you are frozen? Hey man, relax. Live your life. This is not the last day of your life, is it? Don't behave so then. Live. Look lively. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Whenever there is abiotic challenge, that means water is less. What is that? Abiotic challenge. Your body will conserve water, will not lose it. Because if you lose it, you don't have water coming. Yes or no? Simple it is. For example, energy, nutrient. Food is not there. You will minimize your physical activity. For example, hibernation, activation. You understand? Hibernation means what? Winter sleep. In the polar regions, winters are pretty harsh. Everything is frozen. No food. If there is no food, what should you do? Rather, what you should not do? You should not do any activity which will demand energy. You should not feel hungry. Because if you feel hungry, dangerous. You may have to eat yourself up because there is no food. Yes and no. Now think about it. So the organisms will reduce their metabolic activities to so bare minimum that there is minimum energy requirement, and energy stored in the body is enough to let you live, not feeling hungry. So that period of inactivity because of lack of food, reducing the metabolic activities during polar winters seen in polar organisms is hibernation. Similarly, summer sleep activation in some aquatic organisms when there is a scarcity of water or whatever it is. Don't worry about it. Yes? So what is happening here? Abiotic challenge. Or if temperature is too high outside, for example, summer, seasonal changes. What happens? You will get into home and switch on the AC. Yes or no? Or you will remain under shade. You understand this? Yes? What is that? So, increased amount of sunlight or heat is what? It's a challenge. It's a demand for living organisms. So, what do they do? What should you do? Modifications. Adjustment. Why? Again, balance. Again, what is the balance here? Survival. For living organisms, survival is the goal. Okay. So, this results in what? This results in certain kind of the adjustments or modifications. If these adjustments or modifications are long term, these long term adjustments and modifications would cause changes in the genetic material, and this results in formation of certain kind of changes. They may be short term changes, mutations, or long term changes, that is the adaptation. Long term changes. Yes. So temporarily they will cause what? Acclimatization, and it can also cause mutations over a medium term exposure, and a very long term exposure across generations, across millions of years will cause changes, and these changes would result in organisms will be born with these modifications. So, descent with modification according to Darwin. Heard about this? What is evolution according to Darwin? Descent. What is descent? Yes? Hello? Descent means occurrence of a younger generation or offspring from parental generation. Descent. Yes? If offsprings are born with modifications, though they are not exposed to environmental demands or challenges, because their parental ancestral generations were exposed. For example, Negroes, Africans, black skinned, dark skinned, yes, though you take them to polar regions and they give birth to young ones there, they still will have darker skin with more melanin. But organisms living in polar regions across generations, their offsprings are born with less melanin, white skin. Yes or no? How do you explain this? It's not you who need to get exposed for your body to have permanent changes, but your ancestors thousands of years ago, millions of years ago. You understand this? When those people or those organisms are exposed to such conditions, gradually across generations, genetic material inside will modify, and such modifications will be inherited by the offsprings. And such mechanism, as Darwin speaks, is called as a descent with modification. You are born with updated version. Yes and no. Version 2.0, whatever you call. Yes and no, 3.0. So the very machine comes with modifications. And that's a product of evolution. And you are a product of evolution. You were not like this, a few years ago. 1 lakh years ago, 2 lakh years ago, 5 lakh years ago. Humans were not like what you think you are today. They were different. Then what happened in all these years? Well, you have a term for that, and that would be those adjustments or modifications. And you can call altogether cumulatively by single term called as evolution. It's not easy to describe what is evolution. Some people don't believe in it, You know what some people believe in? Ta-da! God created everyone like this. Yes or no? Do you think? Yes, God created you like this. Look at your face. You don't have to follow somebody, and by speaking truth, you're not going to hurt anybody. That's why I said, live your life for your own sake. You understand? Slowly, you're understanding. Yes or no? And at the end of the class, you will wonder, which class was this? Okay, that's not new to some people in the last seats. Yeah? Okay, what is that we are looking at here? Response to demand. You must have seen or forwarded a WhatsApp message. Change is constant. Somebody says, hey, you have changed. Say thank you. Yeah? If somebody says, you didn't change, man, that's a problem. You please see a doctor immediately, okay? You get my point? Are you sure? What? To change is normal. Okay, fine. To change is acceptable. To change is human or biological. You will understand this. To change is to survive. And every organism changes every second, every moment. Do you think you'll be the same person by evening or night? Exposed to sunlight for 2-3 hours, you will become roasted tandoori. Nobody will, recognize you. Yes or no? Would you be the same person? Oh, come on, you talk about others that they changed. Look at you first. If you starve for 1 week, would you be the same person? Starve for 1 week. Lucky if you're alive. Yeah? Would you be the same person? If 10 bones in your body break, multiple fractures, would you be the same person after the fractures? No. Pain changes people. Yes or no? Failure changes people. Hunger changes people. Time changes people. Demand, challenge changes every organism. Yes or no? Well, that's what we're talking about here. But those changes cannot be very or extremely different from all others. You have to. Now, here in this, we have certain further classification here.